I think we need to watch out about population collapse. This is somewhat counterintuitive to most people. They think that, well, there's so many humans, maybe too many humans, but that's just because they live in a city. If you're in an aircraft and you look down, they say if you dropped a cannonball, how often would you hit a person? Basically never. In fact, there's stuff falling in from space all the time. Natural meteorites, old rocket stages, all the time. But nobody worries about it because the actual, in fact, there's a good cool website called Wait But Why, and this guy Tim Urban, like, he actually just did the math, and all humans on Earth could fit in the city of New York on one floor. Don't even need the upper floors. So that's actually the cross section of humans as seen from Earth is extremely tiny, basically vanishingly small, almost nothing. So we need to watch out about population collapse. Low birth rates, I think, is a big risk. And it's also not exactly top secret. You can go look at the Wikipedia, birth rate. So, and this is actually this is definitely the civilization ends with a whimper, not a bang, because it would be a sad ending, where the average age becomes very high, and really the youth are effectively de facto enslaved to take care of the old people. This is not a good way to end.
If you look at countries like Japan, most of Europe, China, and you look at the birth rates in a lot of those places is only at about half of the sustaining rates. When you have an inverted demographic pyramid, so if you look at the pyramid, you've got age striation, 60-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 20-years-olds, sort of a demographic pyramid.
Right.
And in some countries, it's like an upside down pyramid, so it'll sort of fall over. So it will not stand. What we'll actually have in those countries is a very high dependency ratio, where the number of people who are retired is very high relative to the number of people who are net producers. And so you cannot, the social safety net will not hold. We didn't evolve for this because we sort of evolved to just always procreate, and there wasn't birth control or anything.
Right.
Just like have lots of babies. It's like pop the course, and like hopefully some of them would survive. That was like all of human history until very recently. And now it's, you've got cases like Japan where adult diapers outsell baby diapers. Europe's in a similar situation. China's headed the same way because, they've had the one-child policy. And then even though they've relieved the one-child policy, the social norm has become to have an average of one kid. So even when they relieved that requirement, it didn't change. You can imagine, like, people sometimes say, well, what about immigration? Like, okay, look, there's 1.5 billion people in China. Where is China going to get 700 million new people?
AI is certainly one of the biggest risks. It could be the biggest risk.
Are we headed towards a future where an AI will be able to outthink us in every way? Then the answer is unequivocally yes. I mean, to me, in terms of what consciousness feels like, it feels like consciousness is in a different dimension. But this could be just an illusion. If you damage your brain in some way physically, you damage your consciousness, which implies that consciousness is a physical phenomenon. The thing is that I think are really quite likely is that digital intelligence will be able to outthink us in every way, and it will certainly be able to simulate what we consider consciousness. So to a degree that you would not be able to tell the difference. If you're talking to a digital superintelligence and can't tell if that is a computer or a human, like let's say you're just having a conversation over a phone or a video conference or something where you think you're talking, looks like a person, makes all of the right inflections and movements and all the small subtleties that constitute human. I think there's a tremendous amount of investment going on in AI. Where there's a lack of investment is in AI safety, and there should be, in my view, a government agency that oversees anything related to AI to confirm that it does not represent a public safety risk. Just as there is a regulatory authority there's like the Food and Drug Administration, there's NHTSA for automotive safety, there's the FAA for aircraft safety. We're generally come to the conclusion that it is important to have a government referee or a referee that is serving the public interest in ensuring that things are safe when there's a potential danger to the public. I would argue that AI is unequivocally something that has potential to be dangerous to the public, and therefore should have a regulatory agency, just as other things that are dangerous to the public have a regulatory agency. But let me tell you, the problem with this is that the government moves very slowly. Usually the way a regulatory agency comes into being is that something terrible happens. There's a huge public outcry. And years after that, there's a regulatory agency or a rule put in place. Take something like seatbelts. It was known for, I don't know, a decade or more that seatbelts would have a massive impact on safety and save so many lives and serious injuries. And the car industry fought the requirement to put seatbelts in tooth and nail. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people probably died because of that. And they said people wouldn't buy cars if they had seatbelts, which is obviously absurd. You know, or look at the tobacco industry and how long they fought anything about smoking. That's part of why I helped make that movie, Thank You for Smoking. You can sort of see just how pernicious it can be when you have these companies effectively achieve regulatory capture of government. The bad. People in the AI community refer to the advent of digital superintelligence as a singularity. That is not to say that it is good or bad, but that it is very difficult to predict what will happen after that point, and that there's some probability it will be bad, some probability it will be good. We obviously want to affect that probability and have it be more good than bad.
And I think digital superintelligence would also be potentially a public safety risk. And so it should be, I think it's very important for regulators to keep an eye on that.
Who should own the data by then?
I think everyone should own their own data. Like individuals should own their data. And it certainly shouldn't be tricked by some terms and conditions of a website and suddenly you don't own your data. That's crazy. Who reads those terms and conditions anyway? So, but I think it's just, like we wouldn't let people develop a nuclear bomb in the backyard just for the hell of it, that seems crazy. So digital superintelligence, I think, has the potential to be more dangerous than a nuclear bomb. So, yeah, we should just... Somebody should be keeping an eye. We can't have the inmates running the asylum here.